Yeah, hello. In an earlier video, I went over how to add animated doodads to a map, such as you can see here. In this video, I'm going to show how to create something animated, so in this case, some of these grass bits. I think I'm going to break this up into two videos. The first will be how to create this simple grass animation. The second video will be, I guess, something to do with character animation. So I'll be making use of two different pieces of software for this. The first one is free. It's called Piskull, I think. Pronounce that how you like. So I'll be using that one to make the grass. It's reasonably easy to use. The second piece of software, Game Character Hub. I'm still new to this one myself, but I'll be using that one when it comes to the character making video. Okay, so here we are in Piskull. I've got some colors I've set on the right. I'm just gonna draw in a simple leaf shape here to start off with. There's a second one. So I'm not gonna worry too much about gradients or using any other colors. I'm gonna try to do the entire animation as much as possible with just the one color. Just polishing up the shape here. Looks like a good starting place. Alright, so I'm gonna add a new frame now. And I'm going to turn on this onion skin, so when I'm working on this second frame, I can see a shadow of the previous frame, so it makes it really easy to do these smaller, subtle changes. So what I'm going to go for the first 3 frames is just to have these leaves just sort of jiggling around a bit. So just very, very small movement. Alright, here we are on the third frame. Same thing, just sort of moving some things over just by a little bit. Alright, let's go back and do that second leaf. So these 3 frames are going to be sort of an idle loop animation. And then I'm going to have the wind catch the leaves, push them way over, and they'll sort of slowly come back into position. And that whole process will just loop back and forth again and again. So you can see here in the top right, the frames are just sort of jiggling around. And you may want that, you may not want that. You might want the sort of static frames to be completely static. Alright, here I am drawing in a new frame. This is right after the wind has caught these leaves, so they snap far over to the left. Just gonna add a variation of that same frame where things move just a little bit, so it sort of holds in position, but doesn't stay exactly the same. Alright, so between these two states, I'm just gonna have this sort of slow recovery as the wind dies down. You'll see in the top right, it's looking a bit more fluid now. Let's move that first frame to the end, so now when we go to draw in this final frame, that onion skin will show both the before and after frame, so it makes it a lot easier to draw that center in. It's looking pretty good on the top right. Now we just need to do the same thing for the other leaf. Let me just touch up some of these bits before doing that. So after you get all this general shape in, and your animation's looking pretty good, you'll want to go in and fix up some of the smaller bits that don't seem to quite add up. For example, on that first leaf I have in there, it seems like it's getting too thin at the bottom when the wind catches it, so I need to do something about that. So you'll end up sort of chipping away at some pixels here, adding some pixels there to just sort of smooth things out. Now I'm not going to spend too much time doing that, but I'll speed through this. Now you could go in there and add a lot of these other colors I have on the bottom there, all these different green shades. But I'm going to stick with just this one, and that has to do with the way I'm going to implement these animations in RPG Maker. Alright, so I'm pretty much done with this now. What I'll do is save it off as a ping file, and then I'll reopen it in Photoshop. I think what I settled on was about 9 frames total for this animation. Okay, here we are in Photoshop now. Just going to load the file in. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate the layer and lock the transparency. And let's fill that layer with a gradient. Set the layer to luminosity. And we can play around with how much we want that to affect it. Alright, we'll duplicate the layer again. This time we're going to fill the layer with a gray tone. And what I'll be doing is I'll be creating 5 different versions of the animation. So the layer is going to have, let's start in the middle with a mid-tone gray. I'll set it to about 70% opacity on luminosity mode again. So the idea here being that I'll have different versions of the animation that correspond to different darkness levels. So when I go to put them on the map in RPG Maker, depending on how much light or shadow is going on in the scene, it makes it very easy to match the animation to the background. Alright, so I'm going to save those, and what I need to do, because of the plugin I'm using, I just save these files. I mean, I can name them whatever I want, but at the end I have to have this suffix, which is just the number of frames of the animation and the number of rows. So it was 9 frames, so 9 by 1. So let me just finish saving off some of these other variations, and then I'll open it up in RPG Maker. And I'll go about placing them in the scene. Okay, so I've done this in a few videos already, but I'll go through it again here. After I've moved those files I've saved over into the game folder, they'll show up in this editing mode, I guess. So rather than starting off with a painted background like I have in the past, I'm just going to use a really basic sort of vanilla grass plane here. And let's see if we can get this to work here. Alright, that's it for this video. For the next video, I'll be doing the character animation using the same software, same kind of thing going on for the most part. So, thanks for watching.